Hi, so welcome to our film. And this newest film helps us to work through a process that we sometimes call mind Aikido, certainly what I call it. And it's an acceptance and commitment therapy approach. And for me, very often it's kind of common sense. And the way we use it is for when we realize that we've been hooked by something that pulls us away from the stuff that really matters. Now, we can be hooked by a thought, can sort of swim in and get really hooked into our psyche and stop us from being able to think, become completely obliterated by the thought almost. Sometimes we can be hooked by an emotion of jealousy or sadness. Sometimes, very often actually, we can be hooked by unfairnesses, injustice, slights, minor slights that really kind of somehow get right inside us and make us feel uncomfortable, and we find ourselves stuck with them and worrying about them. And the time to use mind Aikido is when we find ourselves getting hooked by old stuff, getting hooked by the sort of stuff of life that in truth really doesn't matter. Where mind Aikido isn't so helpful is when what's happening in our lives is hugely linked with the real stuff of value, And at those times, we're much better to sit and to process and to use other techniques. However, so often in life, we're hooked by crossness, by anger, by emotions and thoughts that really have no place upsetting that apple cart of life in the way that they do. And that might be when we use the mind Aikido. So the way we do it is really simple. We just need to, first of all, just make sure that we have a sense of who and what really matters in our lives. So we might just stop and say, okay, who matters? And allow that sort of, looking at the faces and the pictures in our mind's eye and reacquainting with the people who matter. And doing the same with the stuff that matters in our lives, What really matters to me, what really makes me smile, what makes me feel vital in life. Okay, I've got that. And then we go all curious and we ask ourselves, so why am I feeling so cross, so angry, so het up, so unhappy, so stressed? And we look and we find it. Oh gosh, it's that. This morning somebody said something to me that was so unfair. Or, I got hooked by a real fear emotion this morning or just earlier. Or we go in and we find, oh, that injustice, that shouldn't have happened this morning. It really shouldn't have done. And I can't let go of it. So it's a barbed hook, isn't it? And it's stuck. And this is a process for unsticking and unhooking. So once we realize what it is, we just ask ourselves, look, have I been hooked? Emotionally hooked? Cognitively hooked? Is it an old hook? Does this sort of hook go all the way back into my perceived self, old stuff? Or is this just one of those kind of annoying, gripey hooks that can ruin a day? And we name that hook. So I might say, oh, that's my old jealousy hook, or that's my, I'm a bit of a fraud hook, or that's my, it's unfair hook, or that's my, I shouldn't feel scared, I'm a professional hook. And then we ask ourselves, how does it feel right now to be trying to go through my day with this flipping hook embedded somewhere in me? Uncomfortable, isn't it? Yeah. And this is what we do next. Step 4 is we go, okay, so what do I normally do when I'm hooked by this sort of stuff? And we just get a sense of, and we say ourselves sulking perhaps. We see ourselves dropping around the place. We see ourselves withdrawing and going all negative around the people that matter to us. Or we see ourselves moving into the manic defense, where in order not to connect with this hook, we just do more and more and more until we exhaust ourselves. When we've had a look at what we do normally when we're hooked by this stuff, we let go of it and we move to the wonderful step 5. And we ask ourselves, okay, so what do I see the person I want to be, the person I aspire to be, me at my very best? How does he or she move forward, behave, act, respond when they're hooked with this very same hook? And we see ourselves kind of chuckling, or we see ourselves being kind and warm to ourselves, or we see ourselves assertively confronting whatever it was that made us feel this way, not to win, but to feel better, using our assertion skills, using our quality of kindness to self and kindness to others. Okay. And then we gather our 5 senses and we ask ourselves, how would it be to be that version of me? How would that be? Yeah, he sounds different. He looks different. Yeah, he's very different, that version of me. I like that. And then we just reconnect again with the stuff of life that really matters: our family, happiness, health, work, me, my faith, my hopes, my life, the actuality of now rather than what I was worrying about earlier. And in that moment, sometimes, very often, we've unhooked through this process of mind Aikido. And the way to use this is to use the film, but to stop it at each stage. Just pause the film. So at stage 1, you might pause it and think about why I feel scared. And 2, you might pause it again to peruse whether or not you have been hooked, and so on, and so on. And if we get this right, we can just keep unhooking from this residual stuff that keeps on getting us stuck. So enjoy the mind Aikido and keep moving forward. Thank you.